we're going to be spending the next few weeks here on Wednesday Wisdom in the book of Psalms. And if I'm honest, when I first came to Christ, I immediately set out this goal to read through the whole Bible. And I started reading a little bit every day, and I was moving right along, doing pretty well. And then when I came to the book of Psalms, I just kind of stalled. I started reading it and I'm like, oh man, I don't get this. It's jumping all over. There's a lot of emotions here and I'm not feeling any of that. It was really hard to follow. And that is where I made the decision to, hey, I'm going to jump to the New Testament, finish it up and circle back here later, which I ended up doing. But what I'm getting at is the book of Psalms is a book of the Bible that you don't necessarily go through. It's more of a book of the Bible you go to. And at the time when I was reading it, I didn't really have any context. I was trying to, understand it, and I didn't really know what it was used for. Well, there are a lot of emotions there. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's anger, and there's happiness and joy, and it's all kind of jumbled in there. I mean, I wouldn't say it's in any certain order or anything. You almost have to know where to look to find what you're looking for. But now that I'm a more mature Christian down the road, I understand that this is someone sharing their feelings with God, very intimate, very deep. And it's the same feelings that you or I feel all the time. And a lot of times we don't know how to express ourselves or even to God, how to express ourselves to Him of how we feel. So going to the book of Psalms in these times is so valuable because you're not in the struggle alone. A lot of times I'll say, even worshiping God is overwhelming because you just don't always know how to do it. And looking to Psalms, man, it's like a companion guide to that deep relationship with God. And 150 Psalms there are, different ones, right? So it's like, okay, pick a Psalm to talk about on Wednesday Wisdom. Man, there's so many. But based on what I just told you, I think the one I'm going to share talking about this week is Psalm 136. Psalm 136, if you read through it, which I wish you'd do in your own time because I'm not going to read a lot of it. It's a lot of this. It says, give thanks to the Lord for He is good. His faithful love endures forever. Give thanks to the God of gods. His faithful love endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord of lords. His faithful love endures forever and ever. And it just keeps going through that and brings up all these different things that God has done and reminding the author and the reader that God's faithful love endures forever. And He's always going to go through that with you. He's always going to be present in that struggle or that joy, whatever it is. And these are all examples of that to remind us. And something that's very valuable that I've got a good friend that does a lot that I personally don't do, and I want to really get started on that, is keeping a prayer journal and just remembering what God has done. That whatever I'm praying for, write it down, and then I can go back and see that God's faithful love endures forever. And so often we forget that. Psalm 136 is a perfect place to go to remind us that God's faithful love endures forever, and He's with each and every one of us every second of the day, even during all the other Psalms, you might say, emotions. The emotions in Psalms of anger and bitterness and overwhelming anxiety and all this stuff that we cover in Psalms. God's with us in the good and the bad, and His faithful love endures forever. So take a quick read or maybe even a slow read through Psalm 136 this week, and whatever you got going on, maybe just keep repeating that in your head. Stew in it. His faithful love endures forever. Whatever you're encountering, whatever you're going through, just remember that God's faithful love endures forever. Hey, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next week for another Psalm on Wednesday Wisdom.